Hey everybody, it's Tasha, and I'm down here with all of my kids right now, so if you hear them in the background, I'm really sorry. Couldn't do anything about it. I talked about in my last tutorial video a little bit about why I had taken a break from filming videos, and I just want to go into more of a detailed story about what happened, because I feel like it's something that doesn't have a lot of awareness to the disease, so I wanted to just talk more about it and tell my story and why I've been gone. I don't have on hand a couple of ultrasounds. When I first found out I was pregnant, I had an ultrasound done at the hospital. I was having some problems. They couldn't tell from, I don't even have a picture of the first one, and basically it was just, they couldn't tell if I was going to have a miscarriage or I was having one or anything, because they couldn't find a yolk sac. They had me guessed around, well, by the end of my period, they had me estimated at around 5 weeks. But still made an OB appointment, you know, because you don't know for sure. But it was about a month later. It was September, no, it was like the first week or the second week of September when I found out I was pregnant. And I didn't have my first OB appointment till October 13th. And I think I was 7 weeks at that appointment. And it was actually kind of funny because he was joking when he was doing like the initial exam. He was like, "Oh, there's 2 in there." This is before he even had an ultrasound done. And he was doing it to try to wake up my husband because he was really tired. He just got off like a 3rd shift. So he was like trying to get more of a reaction out of him. But he told me, he's like, "I don't care if there's 2 or if there's 4. He's like, "I'm just tired." And so then it was like a big joke, and my doctor was talking about like Octomom. He's like, "Whatever happened to Octomom, and why do we never hear about a dad?" And we did the first ultrasound. He's like, "We just sent her to South Bend, and referral for a high-risk pregnancy. There's 2 in there." And I was like, "Are you joking?" And you know, we were just joking about it. So, and he was like, "No, look," and you could see 2 little like blurs. So that was the first time I found out I was having twins. And then I don't remember if I went to the fetal maternal medicine center place before or after I went to the hospital. But I had the confirmation ultrasound, yes, it was twins. And then I don't remember, I think the first time I went to the Beacon Fraternal, I don't know, but it's like fetal maternal medicine place. I'm just going to say the place in South Bend because it's a really long name. So the place in South Bend is where you go when you're having like a high-risk pregnancy, or if you're having like problems, or just something that needs to be, you know, looked into more in more depth. So I think my first appointment was like the beginning of November there, and found out that the twins are identical. So they were in the same like bubble, but they were separated by a membrane, and then they shared a placenta. And they had talked about twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome and said, you know, that's something that they had to look for. That it's a rare thing, but it is something that happens, you know, a little bit more than normal when you're dealing with twins, but because twins are, you know, rare, it's something that they were going to watch for. But they didn't see anything, any signs of anything weird then. So some things about twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, or TTTS, is basically it's where you have identical twins that share a placenta, or sometimes you can have multiples, or more multiples than just 2. You could have triplets, and sometimes 2 of them will have the TTTS, and then the other one is like a fraternal twin. There's a bunch of different, you know, possibilities, but for me, both my boys are identical. They are separated by a membrane, but they share the same placenta. When twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome is where they share blood vessels and to the placenta, and when that happens, you have a donor baby and a recipient baby, and the donor baby is basically giving all of his fluid and, you know, his nutrients and everything to the recipient. The recipient's, you know, getting too much. So baby A, for me, was the donor baby. So he's basically, not growing as much because he's not having his nutrients like he should be. He's giving everything to his brother. And then baby B was our recipient baby, and he's getting too big, having, too much stress put on his heart because he has all this extra fluid. So that's pretty much the main gist of what twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome is. And if you don't do anything about it, I think the death rate for both or just one, I know it's like a really, really high, 99% chance of losing them if you don't do anything. The surgery that they do for it is basically they cut a little hole in your stomach. I think online it said it was like the length of a pencil eraser, like the ones that come on it, the ones that are on the ends already. Mine is a little bit bigger than that, but it's still really, really small. It's a speck. And they make the incision, and they go in to your uterus with a scope, and they look around, and they look for all of the blood vessels that are connected, and they take a laser, and they laser them off. Now, the idea for the best outcome of this plan is that when this happens, your donor baby will stop giving all of his fluid, nutrients, and everything to the recipient, and he'll start keeping it, and then he'll start to grow there, and a normal pregnancy happen with him or her, and then the recipient baby will stop having all of the extra stuff given to him and no strain and everything. That's in a perfect world. There are several complications that can happen. That's just what we're going to talk about today. And then my next appointment was the 7th of December, I think. I know that's where I had the ultrasound from. And that's when they noticed they couldn't see a bladder in baby A. And they noticed that baby B had a larger volume of amniotic fluid, and baby A had a smaller amount. So they wanted to see me back in a week, and it ended up being a little bit less than a week. To make sure that, we're trying to avoid the twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. So these are the ultrasound pictures from that day. So this is both of them together. And then this is baby A, and then baby B. You can kind of tell already in these pictures that baby A is smaller than baby B. I think they had them, it was like a 20% difference of size. I came back the next week. The fluid levels were still kind of far apart, but they were still in normal range. But the biggest problem was they still couldn't see a bladder in baby A. So they decided to go ahead and send me to Cincinnati, which I had already heard at the last appointment that I probably was going to have to go there. So like a 5-hour drive from where we live, and that's, the closest place that deals with the surgery for this disease. Now, when I went down to Cincinnati the first time, they did a whole bunch of tests and decided that the surgery wasn't needed because even though they still couldn't see baby A's bladder, they were going on about, well, it could be this, or maybe he just went to the bathroom, or whatever. Their fluid levels were still in a normal range, even though they were, baby A was at 2 centimeters, and I think baby A or baby B was at 8 centimeters of fluid. So even though they had a different amount of fluid, they were still in the normal, acceptable range. So they said they weren't going to classify me as TTTS at all, where South Bend was already classifying me as stage 2 because they couldn't see the bladder. If I have to come back to Cincinnati, I won't have to deal with as much testing as I did the first time, and that if I do come back, then surgery is definite. Went back home. A week later, I had my appointment at South Bend, and these are the pictures from that appointment. So here's baby A. Kind of hard to really see him. And then baby B. As you can still see, baby A is quite a bit smaller than baby B. By this point, they were no longer in the normal fluid range. I think baby B was around 10 centimeters of fluid, and baby A was less than 2 centimeters. So that is not normal range. That is classified stage 1 twin transfusion syndrome, and they still weren't seeing the bladder, so that is in baby A, so that is stage 2. They sent me back to Cincinnati. December 21st is when I had that appointment at South Bend when they said, you have to go back to Cincinnati. And when I went back to Cincinnati, it was the 29th of December. This picture, you can really see the big difference between their sizes. This was taken at the Seton Center, which was another hospital I had to go to for the ultrasound this time, and then the same day I went down the road back to Cincinnati Children's Hospital, which is where I was at weeks before. So this is baby A, and then there's baby B. So you can see in this picture, baby A is a lot smaller. Yeah. By this point, they were classified stage 3. Stage 5 is when you have lost one or both twins. So, once you hit stage 3, it's really serious. And that's when they start to have problems with the heart. They had to do a couple more testing because they had to have the echo to look at the hearts. I had a normal ultrasound just to look at the fluids and everything. And then we had a doctor consultant come in and basically talk about the surgery, that it was needed, and I had to fill out a bunch of paperwork. And the next morning, December 30th, was when I was going to have the surgery. So that night they had me start taking this pill called Procardia, which was supposed to help stop contractions from happening. The surgery that I was going to have almost always would cause contractions because they're taking a laser and actually going into your uterus. So, they're cutting a hole into your uterus and they're going into where the babies are. So contractions are going to happen. Day before, obviously, baby B, the recipient baby, the bigger baby, was the one that was showing the heart issues because when they have all that fluid on them, it just puts a strain on their heart, where baby A, which was my donor baby, was, going to slowly suffocate himself because he was going to eventually have no fluid, and he's giving all of his nutrients to his brother. So those are some of the problems that we were dealing with. So before the surgery that morning, they did an ultrasound, and they noticed that baby A, the donor baby, was having a low, very, very low heart rate. So the lady that was doing the ultrasound went and got the doctor, and he came in, and the heart rate went up a little bit more than when she was doing it, but it was still a lot lower. So he basically told me that has no idea why, the baby's heart was fine the day before, and then today it was having a low heart rate, but that we probably were going to lose him whether we do the surgery or not. If we do the surgery, more chances of losing him, but if we don't do the surgery, then baby B will definitely go too. If they did the surgery, it would give more protection to baby B to keep going on. I decided to go ahead and do the surgery. I was really remaining optimistic that both of them were going to come out of it. There's a lot of other people that have went through this, and both twins, made it out okay. I had the surgery. I'm pretty sure I fell asleep for it, or if I was awake, I was blacked out. It was over pretty quickly. Yeah. So baby A still had a slower heart rate, but he was still okay after the surgery. And then I had the surgery, I think it was 7 in the morning, around 9 or 10 when they did the next ultrasound, and he was still fine. Then later on in the day, about 3 o'clock, when they did the next ultrasound, there were no signs of life in baby A. And it still hadn't hit me yet. I was still kind of thinking, well, maybe they're just not seeing it right. Maybe there's just a problem with the X-ray machine. I was really in denial, and I kept thinking, he's going to be fine. They're both going to be fine. Later on that night, they checked again, and there's still no signs of life. And I'm not even going to lie, I was still being really hopeful that it was just getting bad readings, and he was still okay. The next day was when they discharged me, but I still had to stay in Cincinnati for a a couple more days so I could come back for my follow-up. So I stayed at the Ronald McDonald house for a couple days, and then we stayed at a hotel for a couple days. It was really hard. We were at the Ronald McDonald's house on New Year's Eve, and we didn't even celebrate. Me and my husband, that's who was with me, we started watching like Harry Potter movies, and I didn't even get to see any fireworks because our room, like the windows, didn't show them that good. You know, when I was at the Ronald McDonald house, it finally started to hit me. I cried a lot. Like, try not to cry now. I just didn't think that I would actually lose them both because so many people had came out okay. So I had to get myself together. I didn't think I'd lose any of them. It was really hard. And then when I had my follow-up appointment, they didn't even check baby A, which was really hard because I was still kind of holding on to a little bit of like hope. And they didn't even look at them. They could see anything when they first put it on there. I obviously wouldn't notice, but as soon as they did the ultrasound, they just went straight to baby B and was seeing how he was doing. By this point, his heart was already better, doing a lot better than before the surgery, so that was really good. So everything looked fine, and we were on our way home that night. It was Tuesday. I had the surgery Friday, so it would have been the 3rd of January, I think. So I already had one ultrasound before this one, and they didn't even look at baby A. When I went on the 19th, one of the doctors came in, and you go to the place in South Bend, you see a different doctor almost every time. The last 2 times I've seen the same doctor, but that was just by chance. They like rotate different days. So this time, the doctor had asked me if I wanted some pictures of baby A. And I did, and I thought that was really nice that, even though he's gone, he's still there. I still will deliver him. So it was really nice just to have it, even though, I don't know, some people might think it's morbid, but when you're in that situation and it's your child, you feel different about it. I don't know. Here is what baby B is doing. This is on the 19th of January. This is his face. If you don't, look at ultrasounds or have never had one, it's really hard to tell what it is, but there's his eyes, nose, mouth, and then this is his profile, obviously. Then here's some pictures of baby A. As you can see, he looks pretty skeletally, I guess. I don't really know. It's kind of sad to see, but it was just something that I really wanted for me. I've had, I was going to South Bend once a week, and then I think it was the end of January, maybe it was the beginning of February. I think it was the end of January. I started going there every other week. These are pictures. The most recent I got of baby B on February 16th. So I have my next appointment this coming week. Today's Saturday, so this coming Thursday. There's the side of his face, and then those are his fingertips, so he's like more sides of his face. So he's still doing really good. I think after my next appointment, I'll start going once a week, possibly twice a week to South Bend. It just depends on how everything's looking. But so far, he's been looking really good. No signs of anemia. And cerebral palsy is something that can happen from the surgery. I actually had the surgery done. They took like 2.5 liters of fluid out of my stomach from baby B's side. So it's a lot of fluid. I was feeling pretty miserable before the surgery because you're carrying so much more fluid, and so you look way farther along than you actually were, and it was just miserable. Definitely miserable after, from losing one. I didn't feel as bad because I didn't have all the extra fluid carrying around. The whole, point of this video was just to tell my story, why things, I kind of just fell off the face of the earth a little bit. Or just bring more awareness to the disease, because I had never heard about it before. There has been so many people that have went through this and have not had to have, the heartbreak that I and a lot of others have had to have. It's really great that this surgery does exist because it has saved so many lives, and I believe it's, helped save baby B's life, because without it, and if baby A would have passed, then he would have passed too. still is a chance that he could go. They still share some blood vessels inside the placenta they can't get to. They do a lot of close monitoring, and so far, like I said, he's doing great. If you're going through this, it's good to know you're not alone. If you're wanting to know more, you can go to TTTSfoundation.org. It was made by a woman who had went through this disease with her twins before they had the surgery available. A lot more in depth about what it is, what causes it, and then what you can do for it, signs and what to look for. So it's a really good organization, but if you are going through this, like you went to the doctor, you're having identical twins, they're watching you for it, or you have been diagnosed, this is a really good website to go to, and you can actually contact them. I contacted them before I had the surgery, and they give you a lot of information about, ways to help, and then there's a Facebook group. You have to message them, because I think one of them's private. I don't think they both are, but I'm just not even going to put them out there because I don't know. The lady who runs the website sent me a link to the original Facebook group, and then after I had lost one, there is a Facebook group also for those that are grieving for either one or both twins, or more if you had more multiples, loss of them. More time on that one because it's kind of hard to see. Like, I'm happy for them, but it's hard to see people being so happy with their twins when you don't get to be. And maybe that sounds selfish, but like I said, I'm not mad at them for it, and I'm happy for them, but it's hard for somebody that has went through the loss to see everybody being happy when you're still grieving. So in the loss Facebook group, I spend more time because people that are in there that have one survivor or no survivors, it's just easier to relate to them than to the ones that have both. And thank you for watching this video. I hope it brings some awareness to the disease, help to anybody that's going through it. And just kind of let you know what I've been dealing with. But I plan to be back to making videos. If you want to give this video a thumbs up, if it gave you some insight on to twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, you can. Obviously, I like making makeup videos and lifestyle videos, but this is something that's really personal and something that, I feel like more people should know about. To see more videos from me, hit the subscribe button. Not too many videos are going to be this personal. They're mostly going to be makeup and stuff, but if you liked the video and you like my channel, go ahead and give it a like. And if you want to follow me on anything else, I'll put my links below. So thank you so much for watching. Bye.